Jones with the Top Gun Jumbo. What's up, cousins? This is it, the reveal video for the Top Gun Jumbo. It has been a long road, but the boat is finally done, and I am ready to show you what it looks like, 100% complete and in-depth. So thank you for joining me. Before we get started, I wanted to cover a couple of things really briefly. Okay, number one is Instagram. Guys, I know I plugged my Instagram in past videos, but I've never fully explained to you why you should follow me on Instagram, and there's a bunch of reasons. Number one is I do a lot of exclusive content to Instagram. What I mean by that is you're gonna find photos on Instagram I don't post anywhere else, and also videos. I edit videos, very short videos that are specifically made for my Instagram page. You're not gonna find them on YouTube. So if you're only following me on YouTube and not on Insta, you're only seeing a fraction of the content that I actually produce. Also on Instagram, it's in real time. So when I take the boat out, I can literally post a picture of the boat with it out on the water that day. You don't have to wait for the content to drop like you would on YouTube. I do stuff on my stories, whether it's boat build progress or me going on the road to see my dogs play out of town, or me acquiring fishing gear, whatever it may be, you'll find it all on Instagram. So please check me out there. It's at @ADubJones. Okay, next I just wanted to tell you that the majority of the parts used in this boat build can be found in the description of the video. If you click on it and go down, it'll show you links to just about everything I put in this boat is off of Amazon. It'll take you right to exactly what I used on there. Guys, from day one, I bought parts off Amazon for this boat. Where I live in the middle of nowhere, Georgia, it's hard to get a lot of the stuff that you would want to put in a boat like this. And so I just started linking everything because people were asking. And I've even went back in my older content and edited those descriptions as well to link everything on there also. So this video is no different. If there's anything in particular you see in this video that you're interested in that I used, just click the description and it should show you exactly what it is. So just feel free to check that out on this video or any of my videos. And lastly, guys, you're gonna see in a minute some clips play across the screen. I've kind of put together a montage, if you will, of images that are just early on stuff of the boat when I first got the boat and first started building the boat. Long before my YouTube channel, I documented everything by just taking pictures. So most of this stuff I've never posted before, and I just edited it to kind of show you what I went through early on in the build all the way up until when I started my channel. So as those images play, I'm going to tell you a story behind this boat. This boat actually has a story. This boat not only means a lot to me because of how modified it is, but because of how symbolic this build process was for me and some things that I went through in my life to actually accomplish completing this boat when there was a time that I never thought the boat would ever get done. So I'm going to kind of tell you the story. It'll cover how it was acquired and then some of the goals behind the build, and hopefully it'll clear up a lot of questions that I commonly get on the build and why it is the way that it is. But I just think it's a neat story and I really wanted to share it with you. So thank you guys again for joining me, and let's get started. Almost forgot, guys, before we get started, I've actually had the liberty of taking this boat out about a half a dozen times now on the water. Everything works great. I'm very happy for my first build. Guys, I've even caught fish and put fish in the boat, so stay tuned for a future video of me demoing this boat out on the water. And as always, may your tiny boat builds be great. I wouldn't do the boat any justice showing you what it's become without showing you how it began.
What would eventually become the Top Gun John boat started life as a 1991 Grumman. She measures in at 14 feet in length with a 38-inch wide bottom and a 55-inch wide beam. My wife, Michelle, and I received the boat in 2012 as a wedding gift from my dad, my aunt, and my uncle. At the time, we lived near the Coosa River in Alabama, and they thought the boat would be a great way for us to spend time together out on the water. We owned the boat for 3 years before I officially began work on it in 2015. What started as a few simple modifications quickly snowballed into something more. Upon starting, I discussed build plans and goals with Michelle because technically, the boat is half hers. The first goal of the boat was to be budget friendly. I would let the fabrication work be the focal points within the boat build instead of high-dollar boat accessories. All in all, this goal was achieved in the end by building the Top Gun John boat for roughly $2,000. The next goal was to build a multi-purpose boat, a boat suitable to take the kids out for some cruising on the lake, and a boat functional enough to do a little bit of fishing in. The boat would also be capable of running a gas tank and outboard for bigger lakes, or swapping the tank and outboard for a second battery and electric motor to use on one of the many electric-only reservoirs we have here in the state of Georgia. Long before my YouTube channel or a social media following, there was compromise. I wanted a casting deck. Michelle wanted a trolling motor-free deck, leaving plenty of room for seating and sunbathing. I wanted a Livewell. Michelle wanted plenty of floor space and a middle bench for the kids. Compromise. And so it began. In late 2015, I started the boat build. I wouldn't get very far though before parking it beside the house, tarping it, and letting it sit for much longer than I ever intended. 2016 rolls around. That year, I did not touch the boat. Instead, I found myself battling with my own personal struggles and demons. I'm pretty private when it comes to this chapter of my life and only bring it up because of its relevance to the boat build. The following quote says it best: "Your past has given you the strength and wisdom you have today, so celebrate it. Don't let it haunt you." That year I went through the hardest time of my life. And like so many others who go through trials and tribulations, that is what made me who I am today. I had to go through that place to get to the place I am now. Little did I know that the boat I'd left for dead beside the house would eventually become an instrumental part of helping me out of a dark chapter in my life. In 2017, I slowly started working on the boat again. I set no deadlines and I was in no rush. As time went on, the build slowly became more in-depth and more detailed. The boat became an outlet for my creative energy and therapy for my wandering mind. The boat became to me what a canvas is to an artist. Yes, I was building a boat to take out on the water, but that took second place to the actual build process itself. I lost track of the labor hours that went into it. In April of 2017, I made my first boat build post on Instagram and continued to slowly and methodically fabricate the boat. In early 2018, in the hopes of helping others with their own boat builds and to document the remainder of the Top Gun John boat build, I started my YouTube channel. And as they say, the rest is history, or in this case, documented on my YouTube channel. A lot of life events happened through the build process, and the boat slipped down the priority list more than a few times. We bought land, we built a house, we moved, we had 2 kids. It was a long journey from start to finish, but the Top Gun John boat is finally done. What you are about to see is the final product. Thanks again for joining me, guys. We are going to do a walkthrough of the finished Top Gun John boat. The boat originally came with a Honda 8 horsepower 4-stroke that I kept and had a lot of work done to it to get it up and running. I'd like to give a shout out to Jeremy, my mechanic. Has a rear casting deck that is 38 inches, plenty of floor space. I kept the middle factory bench. Has a front casting deck that's 48 inches, and the boat is notorious for the hand-painted shark's teeth that took almost 16 hours to do. It features a Seahawk Alumahawk gray paint job, a custom-built trailer, full onboard electronics, and a 15-gallon Livewell in the rear deck. The boat can run the Honda 4-stroke gas burner or a rear-mount electric motor. Almost every inch of this boat has been modified in one way or another, so as I do this walkthrough, I'm going to try to be as in-depth as possible, but I'm sure that there are going to be some things that I'll leave out, so please leave a comment if you have any questions. We'll get started with a casting deck up front, which is framed out of 2x2 Western red cedar. The decking is 11/32 plywood coated in fiberglass resin, and then the carpet is a outdoor carpet from Home Depot. I have a total of 4 hatches and then a drop down stow in the front, and then some carbon fiber accents and vinyl carpet decals. Okay, in this first hatch, you're going to notice the flush pull latch that I used throughout the build, and then I did a control panel in here, and when you flick this switch and it illuminates, you've got power to a USB port and a 12 volt, so you can charge whatever you need to charge inside of that hatch, off the casting deck, out of the way of the sun and your feet, and keep it nice and safe. I've got a Shoreline marine light in there for illumination, and then I did a floor system and then side panels in there that are actually insulation and then 1/8 plywood coated in Rust-Oleum oil-based paint, and then the tactical matte foam material on top of that. Directly opposite from the hatch I just showed you is a mirrored hatch, the exact same size, exact same construction process, exact same everything. The only difference is this one stores a 22-inch Frable telescopic landing net. Okay, in between the 2 hatches I just showed you is my center hatch that stores my battery that runs all the electronics in the boat. You'll notice the gas strut there that I used throughout the build. You've got a battery kill switch. You've got the custom battery box and battery tie down. And then the positive and negative leads go to the back of the boat where I've got my fuse box and my relays. This 3M carbon fiber wrap door is a flip down access to underneath the casting deck. The first thing you'll see there is the 3-part floor system that I used throughout the build, and in the center is another shot of the battery box that you saw in the last clip, as well as on the hatch dividers on the sides there, 2 Attwood telescopic paddles mounted on some custom trays. You've got LED lighting up top with closed cell foam insulation in between the framing to help keep the temperature stabilized, and then you can see the seat pedestal up top that is recessed into the framing to give a hidden clean look from above the casting deck, and of course plenty of room for storage. Next we've got the front hatch, and this is a mod that I'm very excited I was able to fabricate. It's one of the earliest ideas I had when I was doing the boat build. It is a flip up light bar mod, or a hidden light bar inside of a hatch. It took a lot of math, but I made it work. It's a 22-inch light bar mounted to the underside of the hatch, supported by 2 22.5-pound gas struts, so essentially almost 50 pounds of pressure. Holds that thing up while you're out on the water, and it is bright. Very bright. In fact, here is a demo of how bright. And then here is a shot of me actually on the water coming in late at a very secluded boat landing. And it was nice to have it because this boat landing has no lights, and I was able to leave the light on while I got out of the boat in the dark and got up to the truck and got the truck down the ramp. I have a adjustable seat pedestal with a butt seat, and I have 3 bases pedestal bases. One is in the front casting deck, one is the middle bench, and one's the rear casting deck, so I can move this butt seat around. But when I'm not using it, I was able to just squeeze it in under the casting deck if I want to, even for transport mode. And it's pretty amazing that I was able to do this. This is another big thing that I wanted to do, and it took a lot of measuring. And you'll notice that there's holes in the side hatch dividers with a grommet, and that's what it's for. I've gotten a lot of questions regarding that. There you go. A second option is to use the space under the deck for storage, and here's a couple of the double XL Plano containers loaded up with gear for a day of fishing instead of running the butt seat underneath the deck. And we will move on to the rear casting deck, which houses a custom fabricated Livewell. And in the corner, you have a molded in storage compartment that was built to the dimensions of the Plano tackle trays. That will hold 5. In this corner, we'll hold another 5 tackle trays, although you'll see I'm housing 3 mini trays and 2 bags of soft plastics currently. Here is a Igloo 18 can cooler that was molded in that houses the Livewell recirculate pump, as well as 5 foot of braided hose for the Livewell chill modification. The Livewell build was one of the biggest projects I did in this boat, just trying to figure out how to make it work, and was also the first video series I did when I launched my YouTube channel. In this shot, you could see one of the trick things that I did was mold the seat pedestal base to the underside of the Livewell hatch lid as opposed to mounting it on top. That way it gives it a hidden look. We've got LED lighting and a drain in the bottom. Here I am demoing the Livewell out on the water. That's a MinuteMan 3 Livewell timer. Switch to the run cycle. This is a flow right pump out / aerator combo nozzle. You pull out on the nozzle, it changes the valve inside to pump out the water instead of recirculating it. The last hatch is in the rear center of the boat, and it houses on the left an 800 gallon per hour Livewell fill, and on the right an 1100 gallon per hour manual bilge pump, LED lighting, and can house a battery or gas tank depending on the motor setup I'm running. Here's another shot of that Igloo cooler with the Livewell Recirc and braided hose and drain plug. Here I am prepping for a day out on the water. I've got the cooler full of some canned beverages. I got some San Pellegrino. Don't leave home without it. Got some ice. Just go ahead and fill the cooler up with ice, and that's going to do a couple things. Number one, it's going to cool the Livewell water as it recirculates through that 5 foot of braided hose, and it's also going to keep your drinks cool for a day out on the water. Moving on to the side hatch, you'll find the DIY tackle storage system that I did a video on. No tackle hanging in this clip, but it does work great. And then inside the hatch, you'll find the rear pole light mounted. Opposite of that hatch is the command center for the boat. There is the Blue Sea Systems fuse box / negative terminal, and then the custom panel I did that houses all my gain switches, voltmeter, and Livewell timer. Moving on to my first motor setup, this is the Honda 8 horsepower 4-stroke. The fuel line actually goes through the hatch. Thanks again, Jeremy, to that custom fuel line to the gas tank is stored under the hatch, and that is actually a cap off of a camper where the power cord comes out. On the Honda, I did a complete restoration of the motor cowl, which included new paint and new graphics. Here is the second motor setup, which is a Newport Vessels 55-pound thrust rear mount electric trolling motor. And this motor itself runs on a deep cycle battery that I swapped the gas tank for, and it's got a custom battery tray and a circuit breaker on the positive. Here is another shot of that Newport Vessels rear trolling motor, and I will do a video review of this unit in the near future, but I will say so far I've been pretty pleased. carbon fiber throughout the build. There's the drop down hatch, carbon fiber on the strut here, and then on the splash guard on the Livewell. This is a 3M carbon fiber wrap, guys. The link will be in the description of the video. There it is again on a strut. I used it for all of my panels. And I also used it on the front lip that goes around the casting deck. The stuff is phenomenal. It really, really looks awesome. In the rear, for fun, I did a couple of pole holders, and there is the hose and the custom mount for the rear bilge. Did a Scotty rod holder system here on that side hatch. And then we did some kayak rod holders in the front casting deck as well. And then on the rear of the boat, I've got some boat buckle transom tie downs mounted to the trailer, and these things work great, guys. I used to have an issue with the boat bouncing, and I do not any longer. And then I've got some Amazon rod bungees to hold down the rods. And last but not least, a Tackle Webs San Pellegrino holder right there by the rear bench. Onto the electronics in the John boat at night. For a more in-depth look at everything I actually did, please check out my video Ultimate Electronics. I did courtesy lights throughout the boat in a blue LED. I did navigation lights up front. I installed LED lighting in all of the hatches of the front casting deck and rear casting deck. I did USB ports throughout the boat in multiple locations, a voltmeter, the flip-up light bar, and a rear stern light. The LED navigation lights are incredibly bright, along with the blue LED light strips that I hid under the lips of the casting decks. Turned out very nice. Here is a shot of the boat all lit up at night, and if I'm out at night, I have no issues finding anything in the boat. I have taken the boat out night fishing to Lake Hartwell in North Georgia, where there are a lot of high-end boats and wakeboarding boats, and I have to say, I did receive a few compliments. This walk around the rear shows all the lights on, how lit up everything can be for you for a night out on the water. And in the front casting deck is no different from the rear. LED lights in all the hatches, so you can quickly and easily get to what you need to get to at night. Long gone are the days of me carrying a flashlight in the boat to find what I need. And of course the Livewell is lit up as well, and that keeps the fish happy at night also. I have a pretty basic but very functional Lowrance Mark IV depth finder / chart plotter, and that is mounted to a ram mount that is installed to the boat. My custom control panel houses 9 gang switches, a voltmeter, and a USB port, and all of these switches are wired to illuminate when activated. And one final walk around the boat, all lit up for good measure. Before we get out of here, I just wanted to say that this boat turned out better than my wildest dreams, and I cannot wait to show you my next build.
That's it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking out the boat build. I'm actually at Hartwell right now on the water trying to get on them fish, and it's a tough time of year, but at this point I just want to give a few shout outs. Obviously, I'd like to shout out and give a big thank you to all of you guys, the subscribers, for viewing my content, checking out my channel, sharing, subscribing, all that good stuff, man. All the feedback I've gotten, all the awesome people I've met throughout this John boat build and this journey of me starting my channel and, you know, putting myself out there, the support I've gotten, I really greatly appreciate it.
Then I'd like to thank my wife, obviously my number one biggest supporter. I mean, without her, none of this would be possible. She puts up with my crap. I'll just put it that way. So big shout out to Michelle. And then obviously want to give a big shout out to Michael Lopez, the godfather of the tiny boat game, man. Number one in the game. He's got a channel that's gonna break 50K at some point here soon, and he's doing big things, man. And if it weren't for him starting the movement and doing the Facebook, the Tiny Boat Nation, getting that off the ground, man, I never would have gotten into this at all. So thank you, Michael. Ryan at Fire Ant Fishing, which is now Murder Creek Outdoors. Great individual here in the state of Georgia who has helped me a lot, man. He's just a good dude. If you haven't checked out his channel, he's got hunting, fishing, boat builds. He's got it all. Murder Creek Outdoors on YouTube. Thanks again, Ryan. And again, you guys, the subs, man, thank you so much for the support and the love. I look forward to boat build number 2. I don't know how long it's going to take or even what it's going to turn out like, but I'm excited about the process. So that's all I got. Again, thank you guys for everything, and stay tuned for more content in the future on that boat build number 2. Hopefully I'm gonna get on some fish here in a minute. And that is it, guys. May your tiny boat builds be great, and I will catch you soon on the next build.